Earlier this year, many people were wondering how exactly was Pixar capable of pulling itself out of this multi-picture bombing run that they were currently on. I mean, Elemental, a Lightyear, and hell, you have to go back just about a decade at this point in time for there to be an out-and-out success story from at one point in time the most reliable studio, not just making animated flicks, but just making flicks in general from the time from their inception, right? From Toy Story and with their run all the way through Cars 2, is that when most people point to the end of the golden period for Pixar? There are very few studios that could out the level of success that Pixar produced, the multi-genre, starting off numerous franchises. Like, they were a juggernaut in the late 90s, mid 90s, all the way to the mid 2000s. It was a decade of dominance, unrivaled, and then seemingly overnight, they fell victim to the curse that many other Disney subsidiaries had also been afflicted with, a little case of identity politics. And well, family and specifically parents were no longer that trusting of Disney. And so when Inside Out 2 drops earlier this year, and it goes on to become the highest grossing animated feature of all time, not just Pixar, not just Disney, but the whole kit and caboodle, people are wondering, how exactly was this possible? So the way that Forbes reports it, the controversy around Inside Out 2, I mean, you have former employees there saying, hey, we were told, we were given notes to make it less gay. And you know what? If you didn't do that's why you're a former employee. And the people that did follow through on that stuff ended up creating an absolute blockbuster. So it's no real surprise that Pixar, seeing the direct success that's right there, is going to go ahead and carry that momentum forward, and they're doing so with their next outing as Disney cuts trans storyline from Pixar's Win or Lose series. Many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects on their own terms. It's weird, right? Because all the other studios, everything else that Disney has under their umbrella, who would have possibly picked Pixar as being the first one to properly course correct? Hey man, I would have thought Marvel could have turned things around a little more quickly. I probably would have been more surprised if Lucasfilm was the one to change course on this, because they're just such dyed-in-the-wall ideologues, and the people that are writing the stuff there, outside of just one team, and they're only getting one more season on their show, but they're just so devoid of talent. Like, even if they were to get completely apolitical with their stories, there's just not enough people to turn that around and gain back the good graces of families, or to just simple common sense individuals. But hey, Pixar over here. Funny, right? Because you have Inside Out 2, and realistically, like, it made all this money, and then even with Moana as well, and, well, don't hear too many identity politics things when it comes to that. It's just more or less of the same carrying on of Disney and its inbuilt feminism that they've had a problem with for generations at this point in time. But you take these little incremental victories wherever you can get them. If we can start to roll this stuff back piece by piece, that's a good thing. Disney picks, yes, like I said, they cut the trans storyline from Win or Lose, which is interesting. It looks like it's, a sports-based storyline? So I guess if you're going to be doing a women's softball team and then you have a ringer come on, it's like, I guess that would kind of make sense. But what are we dealing with here? Win or Lose, the first ever long-form series from Pixar, was originally set to feature a transgender storyline that ended up being cut by Disney. Variety has learned. Debuting in 2025, Win or Lose will follow the members of a co-ed middle school softball team as they gear up for their championship game. I actually didn't know that. Just only seen the title of the series. I knew nothing else about it, but hey man, if you were going to have a trans storyline, it makes sense that it's including softball. Each episode follows a different character, and the show is intended to focus on their varied perspectives, including their insecure kids, their helicopter parents, even a lovesick umpire, per the official logline. And it's like, yeah, that kind of sounds like fairly boilerplate Disney story. Okay, it shouldn't be anything above board if this was being produced in, let's just say the late 90s, early 2000s, but it is, in fact, yes, current day. So, of course, you kind of had to brace for impact, and any parents looking for a series put on for their kids would have earmarked this, but have been cautiously optimistic. But a trans perspective will no longer be highlighted. Yeah, exactly. Because these are legitimate trans kids. that are in this story. That's what it would have been. First tells Variety that references to one of the characters' gender identity was removed, affecting a few lines of dialogue in the show's later episodes, though it appears that there was not a full episode devoted to the subject matter. Oh, so it was just going to permeate everything. When it comes to animated content for a younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timelines, said a spokesperson for Disney. Win or Lose is written and directed by executive producer Carrie Hobson, Michael Yates, that last name looks familiar. David Lawley serves as producer, and the series will premiere February 11th. And yeah, it's definitely a big change of pace from what Pixar and Disney has been doing recently. And if they see success related to this, well, you could hope that the other studios would learn from this apolitical approach to, I don't know, creating a hit, not just in the box office, but also in Disney Plus, something that Marvel and Lucasfilm have failed spectacularly at doing. But as that Park Place puts it, the same studio behind the Lightyear has cut a pride-related, gender-focused storyline from Pixar's forthcoming series, Win or Lose, in an astounding about-face. The company stated that parents should have the freedom to address such topics with their children when they feel it's appropriate. The move comes as a shock. Yeah, I was generally surprised. Very, very happy for this because, well, I was never going to watch this, right? But at the same time, that type of stuff doesn't need to be in children's programming, okay? There's a big reason why I went after Skeleton Crew for having that stuff over the top in episode 3. Don't know what happened in episode 4 because nobody's watching the goddamn show. But the fact that they're attempting to do that, even with a diminished audience, lets you know that it's not about ratings. It's not about putting on an enjoyable show. It's about pushing the message. Meanwhile, Pixar, they seen, okay, well, we can't get away with pushing this stuff, so guess what? It's out of there. Hilarious that this is the point in time where they make a public statement about this because the Inside Out 2 stuff, that's just all rumors. This right here is confirmed from a Disney spokesperson that, yeah, we're getting out of this stuff, at least in the Pixar front, okay? But yes, comes as a shock considering that Walt Disney Company has often embraced identity politics, injecting divisive content into children's programming at nearly every opportunity. Win or Lose is a Disney Pixar original series following a middle school co-ed softball team called the Pickles. Oh, yeah, see, the jokes just kind of write themselves, and if this was in the 90s when it was released, they would have been right there for the world to see, but this is politically correct Disney now, and, well, they seen Pickle and they decided to go, oh yeah, removable, and it's like, no, we ain't doing that anymore. Oh, darn it. One of the 8 episodes originally featured lines, yes, focusing on the character who identifies as a gender different from their anatomy. However, Disney confirmed to the Hollywood Reporter that it cut those lines and the character's pride-centric storyline from the show, and yes, that's where we get back to the other statement there. Yes, parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timeline. Yes. The character remains in the show despite the removed storyline. I wonder if any references at all to Jenny, formerly James, or whatever we're doing over there. I wonder if those are going to be in there at all whatsoever, or because they're animated, you can just go ahead and kind of airbrush out any of that stuff. But it's very interesting, right? Because you have all of these examples of Disney doubling down and doubling down. But now why? Why of all times? And why with just a simple Pixar show are they softly admitting defeat on pushing the agenda? Why now? Disney stand surprised many given how the company landed in hot water with Florida state government, yes, for publicly opposing the Parental Rights in Education bill. Legislation aimed to give parents more influence in their children's education by limiting teachers and sharing divisive content in the classroom. Disney's opposition to the bill earned the ire of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who dissolved Disney World's Special Reedy Creek Improvement District and ended up setting them up with something a little bit more nice than that. But analysts estimate that this loss will ultimately cost Disney upwards of $1 trillion. Holy shit. Disney's about-face on this topic is likely has little to do with an ideological shift. Rather, the company learned costly lessons by trying to push this type of content in children's programming. In 2022, yes, a Lightyear featured a same-gendered kiss and performed poorly at the box office, and yeah, was one of the straws to break the Chris Evans is a movie star camel's back, and you love to see that, earning, just $226.4 million against a $200 million budget, losing over $100 million. That same year, Disney animation film Strange World, including similar content, and earned a total of $73.6 million against a $180 million budget. Strange World lost Walt Disney Company nearly $200 million. Inside Out 2, ended up generating just about $1.7 billion on a $200 million budget, and the flops this year are fairly spectacular, and we'll be talking about Lucasfilm and Star Wars a little bit more before the end of the week, because there's some more interesting information that's right out there. But it kind of looks like Disney, maybe some of those rumors are going to be true. Okay, maybe some course correction is on the horizon, and maybe it might not be so altruistic. It could be because, Pixar's seen some success by removing the overt, and perhaps they could still end up trying to put in the message and be a little bit more covert about it. Or maybe, they can actually, lick their fingers, test the winds, see where they're blowing this time around, and realize, we're on the losing end of this stuff. Time to reverse course, guys. Trump's ABC settlement leaves Bob Iger and Disney in media's crosshairs. Yeah, maybe Disney realized. Okay, you could kind of float 2024. Oh, we got the writer strike and the actor strike that ended up delaying a bunch of projects. That's what ends up happening here. But now, at least on certain fronts, you have some goodwill from some audiences for the first time in a very, very long time, since I would say probably 2021 was about the last time that anybody gave a damn about what Disney was doing, or at least had a general, talking about normies, okay? Those who have been plugged in for a while have seen the writing on the wall for a very, very long time. But just for normies, right? Because they kind of turned on them a big time in 2023, bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb. In 2024, we got the three biggest films of the year, very likely with Moana, still gaining traction and being the only big animated film this time over Christmas. So yeah, it has good legs. There's a high degree of probability that it ends up getting to, or if not brushing up against $1 billion, meaning that Disney's got the top three films. Okay, at least it's going to have 3 of the top 5. But Trump with the civil lawsuit. Okay, just a little bit of background on this. Disney's $16 million ABC News defamation settlement with President-elect Donald Trump has put the entire media on edge, prompting previously friendly outlets to criticize the Bob Iger-led company. Yes, the incoming president filed a defamation lawsuit against Disney over false statements made by ABC's George Stephanopoulos. Under the settlement, Disney will pay $15 million toward the Trump Presidential Library, and Stephanopoulos will pay an additional $1 million himself. The media is not taking this Trump ABC settlement well. Yeah, because they realize that, oh shit, our song and dance, it ain't playing that much, or it ain't playing that well anymore. We're going to have to do some severe course correcting. So yeah, we're seeing the first part of that with Pixar. Let's see if it continues further in 2025, and perhaps we can just go back to simply criticizing media for being bad, poorly written, poorly acted, and instead of it being festoon with the message. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.